The Yaesu FTDX-10 is one of the newest HF radios on the market today. I'm excited today to bring on Sean from the Hamradio Dude channel, who bought one of these things like the day it came out, or he might have even pre-ordered it and picked it up like a couple of days before because they got him in earlier than expected or something like that. I don't know. But he's been a big fan of this radio. We're going to go through the menus today. We're going to show you what all the knobs do. We're just going to give a very high-level overview of this radio. And I want you to check it out.
Shut up and sit down.
Hamradio 2.0, where we do reviews, news, and how-tos of lots of things that are new in amateur radio. My name's Jason. I'm KC5HWB. Thank you for joining us today. Obviously, this is the newest radio out from Yaesu, the FTDX-10. It is a contender at coming in at about $1,699 at the time of this recording. It is a contender for some of the $3,000 radios, quite frankly. I've had opportunity to go through this radio. I used it on the Last Man Standing activation on one of my Sunday live streams. I've done some fine-tuning with it with another ham that you will see in a later video on this channel, maybe later this week. And Sean from Hamradio Dude has had the radio since December, I think it was. Shortly before, shortly after Christmas, something like that. We talk about that here in the upcoming slide. And I just wanted him to kind of go through the basics of the radio, sit down with us, talk to us about it, tell us what he's learned, what he likes, what he doesn't like. There's a couple of things that he thinks could be improved upon. So take a look at the video. It's going to be a little bit longer than normal, and I hope you like it. Put your comments below and let me know what you think. 73. I guess if you've got you can't see my radio, but if you've got the screen of your radio, just tell me where to go and I'll just follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are at the main screen of the FTDX-10. And if you're wanting to do something like set up, for example, your cat control, what you're going to do is you're going to tap that function button in the middle of the radio. And once you get to function, this is your main menu. This is like where a lot of the most important display features and things like your volume, your power output are. From here, on the bottom of the radio, you have quite a few settings, and one of them is radio setting. If you click on that.
Yep.
And then in here, you have all your different modes. So you have mode SSB, mode AM, mode FM. And if you were going to change your FT8, you would go down to mode PSK/data.
Got it.
And then there's a list of options here. You could actually scroll down or page down by either tapping the front of the screen or by using the function dial. And in here is where you would change some of those FT8 settings. For example, like rear select would be set to USB if you had a USB cable plugged in, right?
Rear select, okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so data. So it's set to data right now.
You got it.
You can change it to USB. Okay, got it. Okay.
And there's two ways to do it with everything on this radio. You know, you could always tap that front screen, or you could scroll using that function dial, if you will, and then press in when you get to the setting that you want. So for example, that would be set to USB. And there's a couple other settings you would want to set in there, like a report gain or RPORT gain. And for FT8, I usually set that to somewhere around 6.
Well, it's at 50 right now.
Yeah.
6, okay. That's good.
Yeah. What do you have for your next option, which is RPTT select?
It's default, which is DAKY.
Perfect. Yeah, okay. That's gonna stay that way. I'm just seeing here. There's a couple other things in here we'd have to change. I'd have to actually check the list that I have, but but those are some of the settings you would change to get into FT8 there. Your data shift is another one. The data shift listed in that same menu system should be 1500 hertz.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
Well, it says data shift SSB. But it's inside of the mode PSK data menu, so that is correct. A little strange. Okay,
yeah, okay, right. It is correct.
Yeah, okay.
And, pretty much, as I recall, that's about all you're going to have to change out on here. The one more other thing that might be is the data out level, and what do you have for that right now?
Data out. Okay, let's see. Let me find that one. Data out level is currently at 50, which is the default.
Okay, bring that down to 17.
Okay.
And I think that's just about everything that needed to be changed.
Okay.
as far as FT8 goes.
And you've been using FT8 with this radio quite frequently, I see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was using it a different way, and somebody came out to me and said, hey, maybe you want to try these settings. And it seems like with the settings that they gave me, things are receiving a lot better. I'm able to decode and retransmit the signals a little bit better. Okay. So most of the rest of the work, I believe, is going to be in WSJTX, and that's actually really easy to set up as well. If you wanted to, I could explain WSJTX to you at another time or right now, either way.
Yeah, no, we'll go through that another time. That's fine. I just kind of, most people who have, I'm gonna go on the assumption that people have used WSJTX before and know how to play with it. But this is since this radio is so new, there's some settings in there. So okay, cool. Well, hey, so let's go through, if you don't mind, Sean. By the way, we kind of just jumped the gun here. So
no, that's all right. We'll start over.
yeah. No, this is Hamradio 2.0, and I've got Sean from Hamradio Dude on the channel, and I invited Sean on today because he went out to HRO and bought one of these radios like the first day it dropped. So it was a big long. I remember the. You recorded a video or something about it where you're like, yeah, my wife kicked me out of the house. Can I come stay with you tonight? Of course, I'll bring the radio. So
well, to be fair, that was before the release date had occurred.
Really?
And that was the FTDX-10, and I was like, that would be funny if the wife kicked me out of the house. And then I think it was like that day or a couple days later, they were like, no, the 10's out already. And Yaesu had announced it back in like November or October. Right. So that was a pretty quick release, relatively speaking, right? Mm-hmm. I never thought it would be that quick, so I was going to go buy a 101. So it all worked out. I drove up to HRO as soon as I heard it was released. They said, yeah, we got 2 left. And I'm like, all right, I'll be there. Picked it up, came home. Yeah. The rest is history, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So, and what was that? Was that February, March?
That was December, right before Christmas.
Was it? I don't remember it being that long ago, but I guess that makes sense. Okay.
All right. So yeah. It was like right before or after Christmas. I can't recall exactly.
Okay. So you've had the radio at the time of this recording about 4 months. Yeah. So just over 3 months at least. So what do you think about it overall?
So for me, I find it to be a great radio. And the reason I find it to be a great radio is, you might know, but the people at home don't. I'm stuck in an environment with a lot of noise. I have an S7 noise level right now on 20 meters, for example, right? And Yaesu has this really great feature of reducing the noise, so you could hear these stations that are below your noise level. Mm-hmm. And that for me has been a lifesaver. Now I have the Yaesu FT991, I have the 891, and they all have digital noise reduction as well, for example, but I'm pretty sure that they improved on it with the FTDX-10, or it's using some stuff from the 101 that's just a bit better filtering.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love it. I mean, it's feature rich. I'm no contester, but this gets the job done for what I need. I do get pretty good signal reports all around, even with like the stock audio settings, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, somebody else I was talking about the radio last week said that this is basically a $3,000 contesting radio with a few minor features taking out for half the price.
Right.
So yeah, and I think it's like number 3 on the Sherwood list now, something like that. 3 or 4.
It's number 3, I believe.
Is it number 3? Yeah, I was thinking it was number 3, just below the Flex Radio 6700, and just below the FTDX 101D, which is so Yaesu has 2 of the top 3 spots, and I have had this radio for a couple of weeks now. I did some of the Last Man Standing event with I mostly used my Flex during that, but there was one Sunday live stream I did, and I used this radio, and I did some tinkering around with another YouTuber, which you'll see that in a later video. I tell you what, I say this with all due respect. I'm not a big Yaesu fan, but the reason I'm not a big Yaesu fan is because I don't really like their VHF UHF stuff.
Sure.
I mean, so normally when I'm talking about Yaesu, I'm like, oh, System Fusion, yeah, it's okay, la la la. I don't really like their mobile radios. Their FT3DR HT is fantastic. It's a great radio. This guy, their HF stuff is awesome. I mean, I have an older FT101EE right there. I have I had an 891 for a while. The only reason I got rid of it is because I needed the money to spend on another radio for another video. I didn't ever like the 991 or the 991A, but that's like the only HF radio of theirs that I haven't ever really liked. So I thought the 857 was pretty good. The 891 is fantastic. And this guy right here now it's a little bit more expensive than those, obviously, and it's not really made for a mobile application like the 891 is.
Right.
But,
and there are people who will do it, but for the average person who wants to get out and go do parks on the air, just pick it up and go. It's not going to work out. There are people who will put it in a big case and make a big event of it. But come on. We talk about the FT991, and that was my first, I'll call it serious HF radio. And the first radio with the digital noise filtering or digital noise reduction, excuse me. And to me, I could see the difference. It was night and day. This is perfect. So when that opportunity came out and they said, yeah, you know what, the filtering's even better in the FTDX-10. It incorporates things from the 101. I was like, yeah, we got to try this. It's pretty remarkable. So there's digital noise reduction, and it's a whole algorithm. Right. I don't know how the algorithm works, but it works. And
I don't know that either, but
above my pay grade. But
I
got to tell you, you hit that digital noise reduction button, and have you played with that at all?
Yeah, some I have, yes. So this right here is what he's talking about. I'll put that on, and the light lights up on the DNR button.
Yeah,
so you can.
Richard in Florida, any copy on
so there's
Echo 8 India November Oscar.
This is the guy for net control for the OMISNet right here, and I can turn this off, and you hear the. And I'm gonna turn the volume.
See if we can even hear him now, right?
Well, here's static.
Okay, very good. I got the 5.7, Richard. You're also a 5.7 up here in Michigan. Over.
Oh, he's in Michigan.
That's great, right? And so the thing about the digital noise reduction too is to be able to adjust it. So if you're holding
on
that digital noise reduction,
well, I'm glad to be your first 20-meter contact.
And it shows you the
Thank
level.
You, very much.
You could use that function button there to change the level from anywhere from 1 to like 15.
Now what menu are you in now? Are you long pressing it?
Yeah, go ahead and long press DNR.
There we go. Okay, I'm at 1.
You're at 1, and so then as you had it down pressed and a little bit of a DNR level displayed on the screen, and then if you use that function knob to go left or right, dial it essentially, it'll go from 1 to 15, and you're gonna hear the whole tone change of things, right? You're probably gonna hear that it gets a little quieter, and then maybe there's more echo, like you're in a large room or something like that.
Yes. But you can see the waterfall affected, or the band scope affected as well.
And this whole digital noise reduction it's kind of dependent on what signal you hear. Sorry, I got a lot of feedback right here.
No, you're good.
The QRP's making it.
Are you hearing my radio?
Yeah. There we go. Sorry, man. I was having a hard time with that.
That's okay. No worries.
I was like trying to fight through it. I'm like, it's not going to happen. But so anyway, with this digital noise reduction, and you can go from 1 to 15, 15 being the highest and most aggressive, but it really brings the volume down, and you hear like a room echo. You're really going to have to listen for it, but that'll pull signals out from, as low as possible. The other night I heard you on the Last Man Standing event. And I couldn't hear you at all. I turned it down. I turned it up to 15. I also turned on the notch and really just kind of zoomed in on your signal. I was able to barely hear you, but I was able to make out who you were, where you were. And I'm like, this is so cool. So, that works out well. You find a really good feature. I found that with the DNR, typically I like to have it somewhere around like 6, 7, somewhere around there.
That's good. It's a good number, I think.
Of course, it's going to be like up to your ear, right? So your ear might like something that I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, you're familiar with noise blanker.
Yes.
Kind of reduce some of that. We'll call it staticky noise, or would you call it RFI?
Yeah, it's either I get noise blanker confused with what's the other one? The NFR. One of them is for RFI, and one of them is just for like QRM.
Sure.
So I always get confused on which one is. I think the noise blanker is for RFI for like digital, like power line noise or something like that.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
And so for the fact of the matter that I have power lines nearby, I typically just leave that enabled, right?
Right.
There's another one as well that it's kind of interesting, but if you tap on function, We're going to get to this main menu of Yaesu here, which I will go back to in just a minute, and I'll explain everything on that as well. But there's this DNF, or digital noise filtering, digital notch filter, excuse me. And that can go off or on.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't have anything on my radio to hear or listen to, but that does change the tone a little bit, or being able to hear stations a little bit better as well. So I use a couple of those filters. And I can tell
a slight difference.
Can you tell a little bit of a difference there? Yeah. So those are like, for a guy who's just coming out and setting this up, first day or whatever, those couple of things alone will help you be able to determine maybe somebody you wouldn't be able to hear before. Now, did you see that video the other night I did with Astro Leo?
No. I saw you sharing the thumbnail around, but I haven't watched it yet.
So long story short, with this digital noise reduction and some of the filtering settings on the 891, which obviously different radios, but she didn't even know the radio was on. She's like, is the antenna plugged in? What's going on? And then the guy came back with her, 5.9 plus. It just sounded great.
She couldn't hear any static.
She had no idea, so it was really funny. It was great. But those are a couple of my favorite features of this radio, because it really allows you to be able to hear things that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Now, a big selling point for a lot of people here was the bigger screen than the FT991.
Right.
And there's a lot of things you could do with the screen. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to hear some of my complaints about it as well, but if you look at the screen here, and you got your SWR meter, and if you tap on it, you could change your meters: power meter, comp, ALC, all that good stuff, right?
Yes.
I find it kind of difficult, to be honest with you, because if you tap on it, you only got a little bit of time to decide which one.
It does disappear rather quickly.
And that means you can't change that anywhere. There's nowhere to say, hey, make the menu time longer or shorter.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of some work to be done there. But also, I think it would be nice to be able to have multiple meters. As of right now, you can go power. So for example, if let's say I'm doing FT8, we were talking about that earlier. An FT8, you always want to check your ALC levels and make sure that you're not really putting out any ALC.
Right.
That's great, but then I got to go from my power meter to my ALC, and then I also have to make sure that's good. Then I have to go to SWR meter, so
right.
The operation of this radio has then become multiple steps, but it just, in order to do that simple task, it would be nice to be able to have a meter, maybe even switch every 5 seconds, switches in between a couple of different options. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. But that is where you would go ahead and you could change your meter that way. Mm-hmm. To the right, I'm just going to go through all this real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
To the right, you have your VFO A or your VFO B, and if you tap on those, you could change your modes. You have a list of different modes, from data U to CWL and all that good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So you could change your modes there, but just with anything Yaesu, there's multiple ways to change your modes, right? Pretty much anything you see on the screen right now, you're going to be able to change via all the buttons on the right.
Yeah, there's a mode button over here on the right of the VFO knob as well.
You got it. Yeah. So where that comes in handy, and I learned this online from a forum. Let's say I wanted to change the frequency or the band, right? Well, yeah, I could tap on 14.290, 110, and I could use my knob, the main center knob, to change frequencies. That kind of becomes a pain, but there's the band button, right? Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to have you switch over to 40 meters for this example. So hit the band button, and then hit 7.0.
Right.
And what frequency did it bring you to?
7.242.5.
So here's a little cool secret. Hit it again, the band button, and then just don't touch anything. Did it change frequencies?
It dropped down to 7.0.
And you could do it one more time, and it'll change it again. So basically right there, the best way to explain it is Yaesu has this little memory system that allows you to basically have 3 different things stored in there for each band. So you could be over on sideband on one of them, and then for the next one it could be on data U, and for the next one it could be upper sideband for whatever reason you want to do upper sideband on 40, right? But that possibility is there. So that band button on the side works really well, whereas it becomes kind of difficult if you're if you're just using the frequency there. It's a little bit more difficult to navigate the
right.
navigate.
I did that by mistake the other day. I hit it and it went to 7.0 and I'm like, what did I do? I was on like 7.215 or something like that. And I'm like, where did I go? I lost myself. So it's good to know. I didn't know it had 3 memories like that. That's great.
And I didn't either. And when I made a video showing people how to program memories in this radio, somebody came back to me and said, well, the reason I did that was I wanted to be able to have something like that. And somebody was like, no, you could just do it this way. And I said, oh, that's cool. That's cool. So you got to love and respect the community working together to find these solutions and stuff. Right. And with that, do you know about the secret of the knob button and the little switch right below the main dial?
I guess not.
So right below the main dial, there's like call it a lever.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah, I feel it.
So move that lever all the way to the right.
Okay. Done.
All right. Now use your knob and just kind of dial around a little bit here.
The knob's really tight.
Yeah, and then you can
much tighter than it was.
Yeah, you could loosen it up too. So you could like find a sweet spot of where you like your knob to be, which is
how much
cool.
tension you want on it. Okay.
You know, so there's that too. But I am going to jump. I'm going to jump back to the screen here. You know, we got a couple things we talked about on the top already, and then we have like this block of things: attenuation, IPO, roofing filter, and automatic gain control. Right.
Right. Yeah, it's got 3 settings on the I played with the attenuator a bit. It's got 6 dB, 12, and 18. 18 dB for a radio of this price range is pretty darn good.
Yeah. Right.
And then the IPO, it's amp 1 and amp 2 and IPO. You can turn IPO turns that totally off, so it's like a preamp.
Yeah, that's how I've been looking at it too. Is like amp 1 and amp 2 is like a preamp, and then IPO. I kind of that's where I leave it because I don't need any more noise coming into here. Right.
That's what I've been doing as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been nice. Automatic gain control. The manual, as I recall, recommends that you just keep it to auto, and it'll tell you what to do. So, I have changed it though, you know, to fast, mid, or slow depending on the circumstances. But typically, I'll just leave it at auto. You know, the main thing everybody loves and wants to see is the 3D waterfall display and everything like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so
where are you going for that?
Well, so you're still on your main screen there, which is great. And you have your waterfall already. Now, what does your waterfall look like? Because I can't see over there.
It is, I mean, it's just like the default. I didn't change it from when I turned the radio on. It looks like the black background. And when there's a signal, it's got a little red line in it.
Okay, great. Now, below the waterfall, do you see something that says cursor, 3DSS, multi-expand, span, and speed?
Mine says cursor, fast 1, span, and 500 kilohertz.
You got me kind of confused there.
This radio was not brand new out of the box when I got it. It was I got this radio from RNL as a loaner. Someone had toyed around with some settings on it. This radio will transmit out of band. I was noticing that the other day. Does yours do that?
No.
Okay, so somebody's modified it because I was tinkering around on 20 meters the other day, and I drove up to like 14.4 or 14.41 or something like that, and I had the microphone in my hand, and I moved the microphone and I hit the push to talk by mistake, and it looked like the radio keyed. I'm like, what is it do? And I got confused because I thought, okay, now I've forgotten my band privileges again. I thought the top of the 20 meter band was 14.350, and I've confused myself again. So I looked up the band privileges. I'm like, no, I'm actually right. I tuned all the way up to like 14.55 and just kind of tapped it. It transmitted.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, somebody's modified this sucker.
Somebody figured that out already, huh?
Yeah.
That's
pretty
interesting.
It's pretty interesting. So yeah, it's not got factory settings in it because it was a floor model or a return model or something from RNL Electronics that he sent me as a loaner. So there's
very
that.
Interesting.
So it may not be this menu you're looking at here with cursor, fast 1, span, and I guess that's a speed. It says 500 kilohertz next to it. I guess that's
that's really interesting. I'd love to be able to see that right now. Obviously, I can't see your screen, but
yeah.
Because I had actually been trying to find a way to change the bottom options myself, and I couldn't find a way. So,
let me see if I can.
Thanks.
I think I can turn this on, and if I go back to Zoom, I can go here. How does that look to you?
Oh, no, we're good. We're on the same page, man.
Okay.
So you have the oscilloscope enabled and everything like that too, the sound filters. But
yes.
Thank you very much, by the way. So you have cursor, 3DSS, multi-expand, span, and speed. And for example, if you wanted to change to a 3D display, what you could do is hit 3DSS.
Oh, you're talking about the very bottom. I was talking about up here.
Oh, my apologies. Oh, I see that now.
That because we were talking about this menu, and so I was going to be immediately to the right.
And I could talk about that in just a little bit as well. But so on the bottom you have things like your cursor, and that's going to just dictate where the line is for your signal. So if you like it in the center, for example, or do you want it to move or not, and so forth.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then next to it, though, is the thing that I think most people are really interested in about this radio.
Yeah.
And that's the 3D display, right? So I saw there you clicked on 3DSS, which is great.
Yeah, it's going now.
And you could actually change the speed and everything too. So for example, you got your span and your speed. So hit speed all the way to the right. And then, you're on fast 1 now. Fast 2 and fast 3 will obviously increase the speed.
Gotcha.
But so now I'm going to show you another thing too. I'm kind of jumping around, but it'll make sense here in a second.
That's okay.
You don't have many signals on there right now. You could just see a couple of little things. Tap your function button.
Okay.
And click on level. It should be in the upper left-hand side there.
Yep.
And now we use your function button to go left and right.
Okay.
And if you bring that down to, like, for example, 0 would be probably good for you.
I'm at -8 right now.
Yeah.
Go up to 0?
Go up to 0, and you're going to see now you're adding noise to the waterfall, right?
There we go.
But it's also giving you more of a detailed or defined waterfall.
More of a visual, yeah.
Exactly, right? So that's good, right?
Yeah. Depending on what you're wanting to look at, you've got options. So that's what's good, is that it has an option.
Absolutely. And I know I just showed you how to do the 3D waterfall display, and I'll show you the rest of the stuff on the bottom here, but I am going to jump around again. Okay. Tap on every time you tap on that function button. So for example, tap on it now, and then click on color. It should be in the top middle.
Oh, shoot up. I hit the camera.
That's all good.
Color. Okay, right there. Yep.
Okay. And so what you're going to see there is you have this color display, and you see how it went away again, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to tap function like you just did again. So for example,
that's right. So it
let
goes
that
away.
disappear. Yeah. So anytime you tap on one of those options in the we'll call it the main menu, if you will, it basically saves it. So all you have to do is scroll with your function key, which is great, just like you did now. So you could change the color that way, and then tap in whenever you find the color that you want.
That's not bad. That's a little bit. Yellow on black is.
Yeah, and I think
a little bit better.
I think it's nice that they gave us 9 options or whatever, how many ever options they are, because everybody has like their own color scheme that just kind of clicks with them, right?
Right.
But of course, some people don't want to see the oscilloscope, and they don't want to see all the sound settings on there. And I guess the next question is how do we get those sound settings off, right? What if you clicked multi on the bottom of your screen?
Gotcha.
There you go. So now, actually, though, there's even another secret. So right now you're all waterfall display, right?
Right.
But what if you want to see the other little waterfall that would be below it, right?
Okay.
Click on expand, I think it is. Does that do anything for it? No, it doesn't.
I think that just makes the waterfall even more bigger.
Bigger.
It takes the menu, the attenuator and IPO menus off of the top.
You got it. So there's a way here where you could reintroduce that waterfall, if you will, and it'd be just a second. I'll figure it out here.
This is the one on the bottom right. I think that I generally refer to that as a band scope.
Oh, you know what? If you you can go ahead and on-click multi right there again.
Okay.
And what I was talking about is if you hit 3DSS, it's going to make the 3D waterfall display go away. But now you have, your full waterfall on both sides. It's kind of what I was trying to refer to. Right. And then if you actually click on that bottom portion of the waterfall, it's going to expand it.
Oh, you can expand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't do that in 3DSS mode. My apologies. But you could do it in the non-3D mode, which is kind of cool.
Right. That's kind of neat.
typically I run mine that way. I don't, the waterfall to me may become confusing, but some people do like it a little slower, a little faster. And again, you could change it with the speed on the bottom right. And you could also change your span. So if you click on span right now, this is how much of the spectrum you're looking at per se. You're at like 500K?
500K, yeah.
And you could change it from like 1K and you could really see that signal, or you could change it all the way up to 1000K.
Yeah.
So, those are some of the things you could do to change the width and see, the overall spectrum. Now, of course, if you change the overall spectrum of things, you might have to change the level again, just to make it kind of look wherever you want it, as far as the signal goes, or how much of the signal shows.
Right. Totally.
So that's kind of a brief rundown of those visual displays there. One of the things I did miss that you were looking at earlier was next to the automatic gain control, you see the center, and you see the fast tube, and you see the span and everything like that.
Yes.
Well, that's actually going to be like, for example, if you wanted to change the width of your signal, go all the way over to the right of your radio. And on that right of the radio, you see shift and you see width.
Yeah.
Now the width is going to be the bigger outer knob, if you will.
Right. I've actually toyed with this a bunch.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, you can, and your shift is for, those stations that are off frequency to you. And,
and that's great because you operating Last Man Standing, I'm sure you recognize there was quite a few stations that were a little bit off frequency, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that would have probably helped out that issue a little bit there.
Yeah.
So that's the main display there. I think now that we kind of know the main display, our best bet is to maybe jump into the function menu and just kind of go over some of these things that we could do here in the function menu, because there's kind of a couple of things.
Okay.
So here we are in the function menu. We've already talked about level, and we could take a look at peak next, right? So click on peak. And let me see here real quick.
Peak's at level 1.
Perfect. Okay, so now if you go back into 3DSS mode, it'll be easier to see it that way.
Okay.
So you're at 1, and right now I think you're seeing all green probably, or just a little bit of blue.
Right. Correct. Yes.
Now bring it up to 5, level 5.
It's more of the yellow and less of the blue.
Okay, and this will all make sense in a minute. Now, if we go back to the actual main non-3DSS screen, sorry.
Oh, okay.
My apologies. So click on 3DSS again.
Okay.
And you're all the way up, and now you're seeing all these signals, which I'm assuming were probably like, now they're gone. So did you bring your level down, or that just happened?
Nope, it's still there.
Interesting.
Yeah. This well, there's some RFI right there. You can tell it's moving. I'm on the hex beam right now, which is actually a very quiet antenna.
Very nice.
So,
I could see that noise level, which is awesome. But so you have a little bit of RFI now. If you bring that level down, the RFI should go away. So basically, again, I think it's kind of like a way to show, hey, let's only show stuff at a certain level. So you kind of do, again, reduce that RFI that you might not need on the scope.
Gotcha.
So back into the menu here by hitting function again. I don't need to go through all these, I don't think, but we talked about the dimmer earlier before the show started, and the dimmer's kind of a cool feature. If you're operating late at night, I personally know my eyes don't like that bright strain at night, right? So I bring it down to 0.
Right. I mean, quite frankly, the reason I use dimmers on most radios, and some of these cheap Chinese radios that I do, I always complain when they don't have dimmers. It's because the screen is so bright in the camera. So when you're trying to record a video, and you don't need the screen to be so blown out and distorted, and everything looks just so bright, because a lot of times these webcams can't compensate for it. So, because this is just a C922 webcam right here, but bringing that dimmer down really enhanced the look of the radio itself in the camera. So that's, I mean, most people aren't going to be recording like you and I are, but it does help those of us who want to.
Hey, that's probably my favorite feature of the Yaesu FTDX-10. Since we're on that subject right now, is on the back of this radio, there's a DVI output, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so I use a DVI to HDMI cable, and then I plug that into my HDMI converter, which we have for YouTube and everything. And it's really cool because then I could actually show that main screen on my background, or over the internet. I could share it over the internet. And I found that was alleviating a problem I had where I was trying to record the screen, but I was getting that, what is it, like a 60 hertz, you know?
Yeah, like a flutter.
Yes.
Yeah. I was getting that the other day.
It was weird. So I really appreciate at least the fact that there is some kind of video out. But regardless, if we go back to that main menu again that we were talking about,
okay,
you know, this is where you could do things like adjust your power levels, RF power, your mic gain, all that good stuff. I mean, we can go on all day. Now, also, there's a couple of features on here too, and for people who are going to contest or even for field day, I'll use it. But here's where you could start recording messages and stuff on the bottom of the radio, or toward the bottom rather. You know, you have message, record, play, and decode. So if you were to hit record right now, it's recording. So you could identify that, you know, with your call sign, calling CQ or whatever, and then just hit stop. Well, you should be able to play that back, right? No, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
What I found, and the only reason I know this is because I've done this. Okay, so what I found,
I misspoke. I misspoke on that one. Yeah.
So record is actually to record.
Yeah.
What
right
you're
then and there.
Right now, if you want to, if you want to listen,
or what you're transmitting. Yeah, absolutely. It
will
does.
it record what you're transmitting also?
Yeah. Here, I'll try it real quick.
Okay. Because message is what you do if you want to call CQ.
You were
and
right.
Just hit a button instead of saying CQ over and over again. Message is the menu you would go into. I figured that out the hard way because the night I used this for Last Man Standing, I kept trying to record and it kept recording my receive signal. So, but yeah, so message you can like if you had a conversation with like a really rare DX or something or a DX expedition or something you want to record, you can hit record and you get both sides of the conversation and then you can put that in a video or something, you know.
It's great, and I'm just going to confirm real quick that it does record the audio out as well. I have tested it before, and I'm pretty sure it does. In fact, let me just check here real quick. So let me play this. This is W9FFF testing. I don't know. It's interesting. It did not record my audio, but interesting. Okay, so that would be another thing that's nice about the USB audio cable out to your computer.
Yes,
is because of the cat control, there's the input and an output sound card, right? So you could actually just record it in straight to your computer and record it that way, and it will pick up, I believe, both on that end. But interesting. I didn't know that the recording didn't work that way. So sorry, I got kind of sidetracked there, but
that's okay because I could not get it to work the other day, but it's very possible I was doing something wrong because I was just pushing buttons. I didn't read the manual about how to use that, but I did figure out that message is what you want to use if you want to record yourself calling CQ and over again and just hit the button instead of keying up the mic every time.
And you're absolutely right. So I just got that one wrong. It is message that you're going to click. And then obviously you have the 5 different memory storages for the messages, right?
Right.
But so here's the thing. You could sit there and you could record those 5 memories on voice like you are right now or sideband like you are now. And then once you jump over to CW mode, you could do 5 for CW as well, which is pretty nice.
So it does 5 for each mode.
Yeah. So let me jump over to CW mode real quick here. And then if I go into CW mode again, I'm going to go to message and then, there it is. So what I did is I ended up just I'm trying to learn CW, right?
Yeah.
Brings us into another topic.
I'm
trying to learn CW. I'm not doing too bad, but I do need some help sometimes. So I've been trying to listen, but I also use the message memory to initially call out that I'm testing or I'm practicing or whatever it could be, right? So that way, whatever. And then I also use another feature that you'll find under the function menu, which is the decoding. So if you hit function.
Now my decode is grayed out.
And you're in CW mode right now.
Oh, no. So I need to go into CW mode.
You got it. And by the way, the stock CW mode for the Yaesu FTDX-10 is CWU.
Okay, so what's the difference? And I mean, I understand data U and data L, but why do you need CW? Is it still for lower and upper sideband? Or
right, it's interesting. I don't know exactly, but the manual said, "Hey, use CWU," and I thought, boy, that seems kind of weird to me. But
seems odd, yeah.
Right. But the manual said to do it. So I followed the manual. It seems to be working pretty well. But once you're in CWU mode and you hit function, you can go to decode.
You can go to decode, okay.
Now, here's where it's a little quirky. Now, you need to adjust for the words per minute that are on so you're listening to CW and you hear a guy and you think he's probably around 15 to 20 words a minute. Well, where do you do it? You got to hit function.
Hold on, let me go to I'm going to go back to 20 meters.
Sure thing. I'll go to 20 as well.
And find a CW signal down at the bottom of the band. I also like the fact that this outer ring on the back of the VFO knob is like a coarse tune, and it goes faster than having to turn the big knob.
Yes.
I like that function a lot. All right, let's... That's FT4 there. I don't know exactly where the CW portion of 20 meters is. I don't do CW.
You're back in the upper sideband mode again.
Oh yes, because that changed bands.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. So
and now it automatically went to the decode menu or screen as soon as I changed.
So it's really nice because you have a low noise floor, right?
Yes.
But I could tell you a couple of things right now. If you look directly at your screen, or if you're looking at your screen,
yes,
right below the power meter, you're going to see the 0 beat option, and you're going to see that he's all the way to the right. The signal is right. So you would normally have to fine tune on your radio to get him dialed in. You see what I'm talking about there? But if you look on the right-hand side of that big knob, the main knob, there's a Zin spot button. And if you tap that spot button, it's going to center that or 0 spot him, right? So now you should be on frequency with that individual, which is really nice. Now you got a nice crisp signal that's not off frequency. Gotcha. Now this is where it's kind of like, you got to figure out how many words a minute he's roughly running, right? Okay. So the best thing to do is go up to the function knob and tap function.
Yep.
And click on CW speed on the third row.
Yeah, it's set to 20 right now.
Perfect. Now you could use your function knob, and you could essentially go from 20 down to, for example, 15 or up to 30, for example. And you could really just start to play with that you'll start to see letters.
He sounds pretty fast. Yeah, I'm seeing letters, but they don't really make any sense. They're
right.
Just,
So I see like an N7 now, maybe.
There's N7, yeah. Yep.
And so you might adjust that until you're starting to get words. And I think you're actually starting to get words, which is really cool. Good. So for me,
74. So, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I will say one of the issues I have is being in a high noise level. I don't think the CW decode works as well as it could. So I wouldn't be fair to say that it's a great feature or not, because I have noise. But I did notice that you have attenuation on, and I might try that later and see what happens.
When I changed back to 20 meters, that came on by default. So let me turn that off. Interesting.
And so it becomes really nice, though, regardless, that we have, another thing that I noticed is on, and this is where hitting that band button multiple times is kind of nice, because right now all your settings for sideband have been saved, right? Right. Or at least in a temporary memory, we'll call it. Well, the problem is when you hit the band button and you went to 14, it brought you back to the single sideband portion. Correct. So if you hit it again, essentially, because see what happens is you have digital noise reduction on now, right? I
don't have it on now.
No, but you did right before we just
did on the
over.
CW, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I tend to leave all that filtering off. But who am I to say anything? Because you were decoding signals pretty nicely.
True.
It's nice. So I do notice, though, and I will say, if you're ever using something like FT8 and you switch bands like that and digital noise reduction or the noise blanker are on, it's going to affect your FT8 signal negatively. So I always kind of we let the computer take care of it with FT8, right?
Yeah.
But so I always just kind of make sure that it's kind of a difficult thing. Maybe if they had if they had something that told you if you were in band 1, band 2, band 3 on 20 meters, we would at least know, like, okay, well, this is my CW portion of the band, this is my voice side of the band, and so forth. But it doesn't. So you kind of have to keep an eye on that, because all of a sudden you'll be fighting for a signal or working a station, and you realize that your filtering settings kind of threw you off that you didn't know you had enabled. So
it's funny because I know this guy at WA5 LXS, Dennis. I know him.
Yeah.
He's local here. He's in the DFW area, and I can hear him decoding on 20 meters. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool to see.
That's awesome.
Actual activity on CW that I understand, even though I can't understand it, but I see it on the screen.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And so what I'll do as a guy, like I don't need to go too far into it, but as a guy who's trying to learn CW, like I mentioned, I'll use the radio to call out, at least asking if the frequency's in use. I'll try to use the CW decode to see if there's a response saying it's in use, and I'll back off. Yeah. And then I'll just start trying to use my paddle, and I'll start calling, and then if somebody responds back to me, I have the decode there. So I try to listen, and I try to say, okay, I think I get the call sign, and I'll look on the screen and I'll be like, I was way off,
Yeah, it sounds like me. Huh. So, well, that is a neat feature though. I mean, there's computer programs that'll do that, but I've never seen it done on, I'm sure some radios do it. I've just not paid attention, but the fact that it's built in the radio is kind of cool.
It is. And like I said, it seems to work really good with you. I mean, all you had to do was just change it, right? And there is, though, another option toward the bottom of that screen, and it says DEC level.
Yes.
And you, if you're trying to like really, I guess, fine tune certain things, you might be adjusting that up and down depending on.
Gotcha.
Maybe you're getting ghost characters, for example. All of a sudden, you're getting random U's, and you don't know why. Which is funny because I just saw you pop up on there.
Yeah.
But anyway, you might adjust that level slightly. But I mean, like right now, it seems like it's kind of pretty much dialed in.
It's pretty much, yeah. I mean, he's either sending gibberish or it's decoding gibberish. But
it might be decoding gibberish. I can't read it from my screen. I can only see that there's text.
Like the bottom line right now is 4 space N space EEUGDN, which is nothing. So if I turn the decode level, and that menu goes away too fast also. I turn it down to 15. But I can. Some words come through as like he said TU, which is thank you, and then he says he keeps saying A274, which I don't know what that means. It's almost like a POTA park number, but it's an A number, not a K number. So I don't know what A274 is.
I do see that. In fact, there it is again, and it could be POTA. So maybe we think it's gibberish, but maybe he's actually onto something there.
I don't know. I mean, it's I mean, he sent that several times, A274. He keeps sending that over and over again. And he's working multiple stations. So I don't know. But he's doing some kind of activation, it looks like.
But I think it's a great feature. And so, we talk about the price tag being a little higher than maybe some of the other semi-comparable radios, HF radios.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty nice feature to have right there, just in itself.
Is.
But of course, if you don't want to have that on anymore, all you have to do is hit decoding off, which is on the bottom of the screen toward the middle.
Oh, there it is. Just right there.
There you go.
I see. Okay.
And now again, you got to remember CW speed is selected. So if you were to use the function knob, it would change CW speed, right?
Correct. You are right. Put that back down at 20.
I'm gonna show you another shortcut though.
Sure, go ahead.
There's a button there that says CS. So right.
Yes.
You were pretty close to it. There you go. Hold that down.
Yep. Hold it down.
Physically hold it down, and you should get another menu to pop up. And look at, like, for example, now you could choose, I don't know, RF power. So right there, you're right above your finger.
There it is.
Tricky because it's not in the same spot as the initial menu.
Right. Yeah.
But okay, so here's the secret. Now, if you hit CS, just tap it, and it's illuminated. Now use the outer main knob. Look at that, right? So you
can change the function of that outer main knob from being a course level. Interesting.
You got it. So I mean, we're learning quite a bit about this radio and the functionality and some of the cool shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can think of anything else that's pretty cool about this radio. I mean, obviously you got your lock button, which is nice because I do find myself.
Oh, I constantly use my lock button on all my radios.
Because what'll happen is I'll go to hit one of the small buttons like QMB, for example. I knock it off every time. But just remember now, if you still have that CES option enabled and you go to use your outer knob, it's just going to change your power, right? So what we were talking about earlier about your different tuning options for the frequencies.
Yes.
You just want to make sure that that's turned off. Otherwise, obviously you're not going to change your frequencies. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so you just turn the CS button off, and then it goes back to being a course tune on the VFO. Okay, cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else like absolutely you want to know about this radio. You got any questions that maybe I can answer?
I think that we've done, you know what, like I said at the beginning, I didn't want to do a deep dive. I just kind of wanted to go through the menus and see what all the kind of top features, like everything we've talked about today, you could dive deeper into just that topic on its own, right?
100%.
Because there is a lot to this radio with the menus, the receiver, how to tune it for single sideband, CW, everything else. Yeah. So no, I think, I mean, I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm like, man, there's a lot to this right now. Some of it's counterintuitive, some of it's kind of like in a weird place, like you mentioned earlier. But you know, once you kind of get used to it, it's just like anything else. Just like, oh, instead of being over here, it's over there. You know, on this radio, like I'm used to. So, if you're used to icon menus, then it might be a little weird. If you're used to Yaesu menus, then probably it's not too strange to you. So,
and completely honest, I had a 7300 for a while that I was using in between. I sold the 991 kind of like you to fund more radios for reviews, right?
Right.
And so while I was waiting for the DX10 to be released, I was back on the Yaesu 7300, fine radio. But then I came back to the FTDX-10 and I'm like, I forgot where everything was already.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I will say we talked a little bit earlier about the cool filtering and how it makes everything just really pop. And if you still need a little bit more of an advantage or an edge, plug in your headphones, because the headphones are going to make all the difference in the world again.
Yeah. And just so we're clear on that, because I was going to mention that before, the microphone connector plug is an RJ45 jack, and it does match previous versions of Yaesu, of later model Yaesus. The reason I know that is because I have a Heil Pro 7 headset.
I was just going to recommend that.
Yeah, it's behind the curtain over here. I have a headset, and it has the Yaesu plug. But the Yaesu plug is the same plug that's used on the Flex Radio Maestro. Because when I first got my Flex Radio, I asked Flex Radio, and they said, no, just get a Yaesu microphone. And of course the Flex Radio comes with a microphone on its own. But I was going to get my Heil Pro 7 headset, and I called R&L and I said, they're telling me this is what I need. And R&L was like, we don't sell Flex Radio, so I don't know, but I'll sell it to you, and if you need to return it, just let me know. And plugged it right up. It worked perfectly. So my Heil Pro 7 headset that I use on my Flex Maestro plugs into this radio, this FTDX-10, and works perfectly. I used it the other day. So,
that's a great investment if you're looking for even more of an edge with whatever you're doing in radio, is plugging that Heil headset in. Not only do you have the headset, but you have a pretty decent microphone, right?
Right.
Really, you can go way in depth with that, which
sure.
I'm speechless at that, but you're right. There's so many more settings. We pretty much just brushed a couple of settings.
Right.
We can go on a whole series for a year about this thing and probably not figure it out yet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If I end up keeping it, then maybe we'll do another one or something. But I haven't. I've had it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Originally, it was supposed to be a loaner, and at this point in time, I'm almost like, I'm thinking about some other radios I haven't used in a while that maybe I'd sell to generate some cash flow and actually keep this one, because it's going to be, now I'm going to kick myself, because if I end up keeping this one and paying today's price for it, come November, there'd be a Black Friday sale where they slashed the price a lot. So
and maybe even at Huntsville too. Who knows, right?
Yeah. That's very possible. So
although,
I don't know, but
let me throw this out for you too. Right now, we know that it's really hard to get electronic parts because of the factory that went down. So we might not see as good of sales as we typically hope for.
That's very true.
I'm just trying to get you to buy this radio.
Well, I really want to take it out. I really want to take it out to a park activation.
Do it.
So I've been, because my IC 7300 is my normal POTA. I keep it in an Apache case, and that's what I grab every time I go to Parks on the Air. Unless I'm doing QRP, I have my 705 also. But I want to take this out with all I've learned about this radio in the last 2 weeks. I want to take this out to a park activation and actually, use the filtering, use the tuning on it, and just kind of see how much I can bring in signals that I couldn't hear before. So
absolutely.
That's going to be fun to do, I think. So
I think I'm going to bring it to field day for that purpose as well. and then we'll take it from there.
Good.
Cool.
Well, hey man, thanks for the time today. This ended up being a lot longer than I thought it would be, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You think everything will be good? You'll have plenty of information. It'll be cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you know what? If I put this up there and people are like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Another video.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Absolutely.
We'll
Anytime,
do it
man.
again and we'll expand on it. So.
Anytime you want to collab, that's cool.
Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe to Hamradio, dude.
That's right. That's right. Your fast focus camera focus.
Isn't it good? Isn't it good? Yeah.
It is. It's quick.
All right.
All right, man.
Thanks
for the time today, Sean. Yeah. Have a good one.
Take care.
You too.